You're listening to Bluebird Broadcast, an audio vessel of original works brought to you by Bluebird Theatre Company. I'm your host, creator, and producer of the show, Milena Karpukhina. Today we're presenting What He Made Me, written by yours truly, Milena Karpukhina. You'll be hearing the voices in order of appearance of Vanessa Mazhangara, Tom Harrison, and Georgia Gabriele. Make sure to follow Bluebird Theatre Company on social media platforms to keep up with new releases and updates on our audio and visual performances. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
It's not like it wasn't my choice. I was absolutely in my right mind. I'm a collected person. I've got my shit together. Ask anybody. I can provide references if needed. Except I wasn't in the mind I wanted to be in then. In fact, I spent so long trying to tell him and everyone around me the way I wanted things to go, the way they were going to go because I had decided so. But he had other plans. His came before and after the plans I made for myself, and drowned mine out in the process. Actually, I think he described it better than I ever could. We were joking around per usual, we had a very, very trivial complicity. And at some point, he threw out the phrase,
"It's so funny. It's almost like you got sick of saying no and rejecting the idea. It's almost like I wore you down and you finally just did it."
I laughed. We both laughed it off at the time, but as I rode home at the subway, later than I should have in respect to my roommates who I woke up every time I would stumble in way past midnight, I had left. The conversation had been replaced by dozens others, and yet, as I sat there going downtown, me, myself, and the unconscious man who made the train benches home, the phrase stuck around. And it's been almost a decade, but what he said to me that night has kept a piece of me there, stuck. In that moment, and I return to pay that version of myself that I've grown to detest a visit almost every day. And I look at her in disdain, in disappointment, and eventually in tears. When I look at the mosaic of regrets that I've made for myself throughout my life, those moments with him, brief yet heavy, have taken up most of the real estate in there, I find. There's no use in making excuses for what I did, but I think it's important to have regrets. And I've learned to befriend that sinking feeling when my eyes start to sting, when my throat starts to dry, when my core starts to fall. But we've got to keep our enemies closer, right? To the outside world, hell, to you even, up until recently, I've got my shit together. And there's no leeway for people like that. There's no room for excuses. And good thing, too, because if you all weren't expecting something of me, I'd worry I get too close to that friend. So that happened. And I did what I had to. I got rid of him. And don't ask where. I wrote it down somewhere that I hope I'll never find. Doesn't really matter anyway, because it's not like it's a secret anymore what I did. But he finally got what he'd been asking for so long. And then I tried to get back to those plans I made before he imposed his own. Well, how long a lie by omission can be held up, only God knows. Yeah. If you have any connections up there, tell Machiavelli he's full of crap. My means caught up with me in the end, and that's why I'm sitting here today. Getting rid of someone like that, in a way I thought compassionate at the time, filling them with things they want to hear before they go, and showing them the love they thought they deserved, wasn't the worst way to do it, I'll put it that way. It was the most decent way, for them. I wish for myself I had done it quickly. Violently, in a way that would make me feel like a monster in the moment, so that the feeling of being a murderer wouldn't sink in so much deeper over time. He had to go eventually. He wasn't going to do it himself. He begged me for years to show him some mercy and put him out of his misery. You know what? I'll start from the beginning. We'd cross each other every day in the office halls. A bump on the shoulder at the coffee station turned into a clink of wine glasses over dinner. Weeks went by, and all in good faith, until he revealed his intentions. He handed me a little note on good quality paper, closed with a wax seal. I opened it, of course, feeling his eyes burning a hole in me. It read,
Allow me the experience of being eradicated by you.
What? What the hell does this mean? Weirdo. Cute stationery, though. I laughed, and I tried to steer the conversation elsewhere, meanwhile feeling my heartbeat picking up its pace and my leg starting to tremble under the table. He continued to stare. Anyway, what's on tomorrow after work? Dinner at the Malaysian place?
Tomorrow night, you put on a nice red dress. I pick you up at 8, and you fulfill my request.
Sure, we'll see about that. Actually, I think my sister invited me to her place for dinner to meet her girlfriend. Pretty sure that was for tomorrow. I'll have to check, so no promises about being able to get together. But I'll see you at the office, so maybe we can pick up some lunch instead. Hey, should we get the check? I don't want to miss the subway back downtown.
Don't avoid the question. Will you do what I'm asking of you?
I don't really get what you're asking of me here. I don't feel super comfortable in this conversation either. Can we rain check it?
I want you to yield the power I will give you once you kill me.
I picked up my bags and left. What kind of sadomasochistic shit was he on about? I took his note with me. The next day, for obvious reasons, I avoided him at the office. We bumped into each other at the coffee station, and he tried to talk. Sorry, I just have a few seconds before I have to run into this meeting. Later? I went out to get lunch, alone, confused. Hi, yes. Can I please get the miso lunch special? I'll take that one, thanks. What the hell are you doing here?
I need you to answer my proposition.
What? Did you follow me here? What the hell, dude?
I've wanted to ask you this since we first met. I need to feel that rush. Do it. End me. Think about the energetic handover we could share. You could rule the world.
What the actual hell are you talking about? I thought we were friends. I thought we had something genuine going on here, and you flipped this weirdo shit on me? I don't want to do that. I don't want to ruin the friendship we had. No. I think he took that personally, and we stopped talking for a while after that. Time went by, I got a great promotion, and he kept leaving his signature notes for me to find. I thought nothing much of it, except perhaps he wanted to get back together for our after-work dinners, which started back up again once we were assigned to work on an end-of-year campaign together. I was glad to discuss the project plans with him, until he started to sprinkle back in notions of the first note. I thought I told him no. He must have forgot. More time passed, more attempts of his to bring me into this idea did too. The campaign was a success and I got promoted again. Yay. None of that seems to matter now, though. His next move was something. He invited me to dinner the day of my second promotion. I thought it would be rude to say no. I had no other plans. Another clink of the wine glasses. He gently grabs my hand and leads it to the butter knife on his side of the table. I watch him, eyes wide, heartbeat starting back up again, and breathing speeding up to match. He envelops the knife with my fingers and his around mine, bringing the blade to his wrist. I look up from my hands and into his eyes. They're pleased. I feel a wave of terror and intrigue wash over my body as I feel my hand angling down and giving into the pressure against it. I look back down to my hands and see his have let go, and it now only my hands, his wrist and the streak of blood slowly rolling down it. I watch it make its way around the bend of his wrist. As the drop hits the dinner table, the realization of what had just happened hits me like a ton of bricks. I am shocked. I am horrified. I look at him. He is elated. The grin creeps on his face as steadily as the blood that rolled off his wrist. He dabs it with a tablecloth and waves for the check. He tips the waitress generously. I see what's going on here now. Walking alone under my umbrella down the busy avenue to my subway station, I think about the course of events, unable to make my mind about how I feel in regard to them. Nobody around me knows that I just experienced this perplexing situation, and I like to keep it that way. That's the great thing about living in a big city. Everyone's too consumed in their own little lives to judge what's going on in yours. For the next few years, every time I'd see him for a seemingly normal get-together, he always found a way to implant little acts like the one at the butter knife dinner. If he didn't, I'd feel something was off and would incite them myself. Disturbing, right? But it became a sort of ritual, and no matter how much I'd preface to myself that that sort of thing was over and I'd want no part in it, as soon as we were together, the trivial complicity that we had before morphed into a fervent one, intense and disturbing. I was naive in trying to convince myself there was going to be a way out of it. Eventually, on a late Saturday afternoon, we took a drive out to the forest. We had taken my car, but he insisted to drive. My leg trembling and heart beating as they'd taken habit to do the entire way there. What I'd failed to see then was the way my body had been showing me what my mind had been conditioned to overlook. The way I was viscerally uncomfortable with what was happening between my coworker and I. We got to a spot in the forest where it turns out he had been before. He had prepared a candlelit table with 2 glasses of wine, and in between them a butter knife. How thoughtful. We sat down in silence and took a sip. He held his hand out for mine. I held mine out in response. It would be rude not to. He took my hand and looked me deep in the eyes.
Thank you.
I didn't know how to respond to that, but I could feel what was coming next. He got up and walked behind the table, laying down in what I realized to be a rectangular hole of sorts, a bed. I could no longer see him under the ground. I stayed seated. I saw him bring an object up above the ground, out of the hole he was laying in. The butter knife flashed in the candlelight. It was time. Driving back alone in the dark of night with no music on, I had wondered how I'd gotten from rejecting his idea for months to where I was in that moment. I'll never know his reasons, but I'll always question mine. I knew that I didn't want to do it. I insisted I wanted no part in his plans. But as time went on and his nudge turned into a shove, I gave into the game. I gave into the damn game, and he won. I lost my willpower and integrity to this man. I'm telling you, I'm innocent. What I did was completely out of character. That bastard played the long game of convincing and manipulation. If somebody is begging you to kill them out of their own volition, how does that make you guilty when you give them what they want? That's not what I am. I am innocent.
Yeah, girl, you're innocent. You, me, and every other inmate in here.
You don't believe in second chances. Well, let me show you that they exist for a good reason. I'm proving to you and me and him even that from now on I decide and no one can sway me in my plans to prove who I am. Not a murderer. Once I get out of here, I'll...
Feeding time, inmates.
I'm not what he made me.